Hey, welcome to, I guess what we could call my Corona lecture series. I'm going to try to do these sections on video for a video lecture. So today we're on section 3.10, and what we're dealing with here are rewriting formulas. So for instance, if I had a formula that was like d equals n times x, and I wanted to solve it for x, that means what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get x isolated, x by itself. So what's different between these and what we've been working with before is up till now we've been solving equations that had quite a few numbers in them, and for this section you're going to see very few numbers, but we're going to use the same principles that we do for solving an equation. If I want to solve this for x, that means I want x to be isolated or all by itself, which means I need to move the n to the other side of the equal sign. So how do we do that? Well, they're connected with multiplication, so the opposite of multiplication is division. Whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. So this cancels, and I'm left with d over n equals x. And that would be the equation rewritten for x. Now, for instance, what if I wanted to solve it for n? So if I have d equals nx, and I wanted to solve for n, then that means I want to get the n by itself. So what's next to it is the x. It's connected with multiplication. I would divide to undo the multiplication. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. That cancels, and I'm left with n equals d over x. So something that's interesting is when we don't have a whole bunch of numbers to compute, we can almost look at this as a movement, kind of like a dance movement. So let's say I had d equals nx, and I wanted to solve for n just like I did here. If I'm going to isolate the n, I would divide by x, so it would go away on this side and it would end up being divided on the other side. And so I just sort of did this slide movement. For some people this is really helpful because it's a really neat visual. For other people, you know, if it messes you up, just go with the straight up algebra rules like we did here. But what's fun about this is, yeah, I used the word fun in math class. Let's say, for instance, that we had something a little more complicated, like d equals nxz, and I wanted to solve for z. So that means that the z is the one I want to keep there. It's being multiplied by both the n and the x. The opposite of multiply is divide, so I would divide this side, which would make them go away, and also divide the other side. So my slip and slide movement leaves me with z equals d over nx.